Imagine waking up tomorrow and every news channel is talking about the same thing. The economy is slowing down. Companies are laying people off. People are spending less. Businesses are closing. If you own the wrong business, that headline could destroy your income overnight. Restaurants become empty. Retail stores struggle. Luxury purchases disappear. And thousands of small businesses quietly shut their doors. But here's something most people never notice. While many businesses are fighting to survive, others barely seem affected. In fact, some continue making money almost like nothing happened. They aren't flashy. They don't go viral on social media. You probably won't hear influencers talking about them. Yet year after year, they quietly generate steady cash flow. After studying businesses that survived the 2008 financial crisis, the COVID shutdowns, and multiple economic downturns, one pattern became impossible to ignore. The businesses that survive aren't always the most exciting. They're usually the ones people simply can't stop using. Today, we're counting down 10 small businesses that have repeatedly shown remarkable resilience during recessions, and we'll explain exactly why they keep working, even when the economy doesn't. Some require significant investment. Others can start much smaller. But every business on this list has one thing in common. People continue paying for them because they're solving problems that don't disappear during hard times. And the number one business might surprise you. Let's begin. Most people never dream of owning a laundromat. It's quiet, it's predictable, and honestly, it doesn't sound very exciting. But that's exactly why many investors love them. No matter what's happening in the economy, people still need clean clothes. During recessions, some families even stop using expensive in-home washing machines as often and return to public laundromats to reduce utility and repair costs. Unlike many retail businesses, a laundromat isn't selling a luxury. It's providing a basic necessity. That creates recurring customers. Week after week, year after year, modern laundromats have also evolved. Many now offer wash and fold services, pickup and delivery, mobile payments, and even subscription plans for regular customers. Of course, this isn't passive income. Machines require maintenance. Utility bills can be significant, and choosing the wrong location can quickly hurt profitability. But when managed well, a laundromat can become one of the most recession-resistant service businesses in a community. And that's exactly why it earns the first spot on our countdown. Automated car wash. At first glance, an automated car wash doesn't seem like a recession-proof business. After all, washing your car isn't as essential as buying groceries or paying your rent. But the business model tells a different story. For millions of Americans, a clean car isn't just about appearance. It's part of their routine. People commute to work, drive their kids to school, run errands every week. And over time, keeping the car clean becomes a habit. That's where the real opportunity begins. Many modern car washes don't rely on one-time customers. Instead, they sell unlimited monthly memberships. Customers pay one fixed price every month and can wash their car as often as they want. Whether they visit 4 times or 10 times, the membership keeps generating recurring revenue. That makes income far more predictable than relying on individual purchases alone. Even during slower economic periods, many customers continue paying for the membership because the monthly cost feels small and canceling often isn't a priority. Of course, this doesn't mean every car wash is successful. The equipment is expensive, water usage is significant, maintenance is constant, and choosing the wrong location can quickly reduce profits. The businesses that perform best are usually located near busy commuter roads, shopping centers, or growing suburban neighborhoods where thousands of cars pass every day. Like many businesses on this list, the real advantage isn't simply washing cars. It's creating predictable, recurring income from customers who come back again and again. And that's exactly what makes automated car washes one of the more resilient service businesses during economic downturns. Now, let's move to number 8, self-storage facilities. At first, paying to store things you don't use sounds like a strange business. Why would someone pay every month just to keep their belongings inside a locked room? But during difficult economic times, self-storage businesses often experience something unexpected. Demand increases. When people lose a job, they may move into a smaller apartment. When families downsize, there isn't always enough space for everything they own. Instead of throwing away furniture, seasonal equipment, family memories, or business inventory, many choose to rent a storage unit. For business owners, self-storage solves a simple problem. People don't want to lose their belongings. They simply need somewhere safe to keep them. And unlike many businesses, there are very few employees required to operate a modern storage facility. Many locations now use automatic gates, online reservations, digital payments, and security cameras, allowing one manager to oversee hundreds of units. Another advantage is predictable monthly income. Customers usually pay every month, and many continue renting far longer than they originally planned. Of course, building a storage facility requires significant investment. Land, construction, security systems, and maintenance can be expensive. Choosing the wrong location can also reduce occupancy. The strongest facilities are usually built near growing suburbs, expanding cities, or areas where people frequently relocate. The business succeeds because it doesn't depend on luxury spending. It solves a problem that appears even more often during times of financial uncertainty. That's why self-storage has remained one of the most resilient real estate businesses through multiple economic downturns. Now, let's move to number 7, pest control. Few people enjoy thinking about pests, but whether the economy is booming or struggling, rats, termites, cockroaches, and mosquitoes don't simply disappear. That's what makes pest control one of the most recession-resistant service businesses. People may delay buying a new television. They may postpone a vacation. They might even cancel a streaming subscription. But when termites start damaging a home structure or rodents begin invading the kitchen, most homeowners act immediately. For businesses, the need can be even greater. Restaurants, hotels, grocery stores, warehouses, and apartment buildings can't afford pest infestations. Ignoring the problem could lead to health violations, property damage, or a damaged reputation. That's why many commercial customers don't wait for pests to appear. Instead, they sign recurring service contracts. A technician visits every month or every quarter to inspect the property, treat potential problem areas, and prevent infestations before they begin. For the pest control company, this creates predictable, recurring revenue. Of course, the business still has challenges. Technicians require training. Specialized equipment isn't cheap. Fuel costs, insurance, and licensing all add operating expenses. Building trust with customers also takes time. People are inviting technicians into their homes and businesses. Reliability matters. Professionalism matters. Results matter. But once a company earns that trust, many customers stay for years. The business isn't built on one emergency visit. It's built on long-term relationships and recurring service. That's exactly why pest control has remained one of the most dependable service businesses through both strong economies and recessions. Now, let's move to number 6, laundromats. At first glance, A laundromat doesn't seem like an exciting business. Rows of washing machines, dryers, folding tables, and customers quietly waiting. But behind that simple appearance is one of the most resilient cash flow businesses in many communities. The reason begins with something people can't postpone: clean clothes. During a recession, families may delay buying new clothes. They may wear the same jacket for years. They may cancel vacations or eat out less often, but dirty clothes still need to be washed every week, sometimes every day. Not everyone owns a washing machine. Students, renters, travelers, and families living in small apartments often depend on laundromats. Even people who own a washing machine sometimes visit a laundromat to wash large blankets, comforters, or several loads at once. That's why demand doesn't disappear. It simply keeps coming back. The business becomes even stronger when owners think beyond washing machines. Many successful laundromats add vending machines, soap dispensers, snack machines, Wi-Fi, comfortable seating, or wash and fold services. Some even offer pickup and delivery. Every additional service creates another source of revenue without depending entirely on self-service machines. Of course, there are challenges. Utility costs can be high. Equipment is expensive. Repairs are unavoidable. Choosing the wrong location can dramatically reduce customer traffic. But owners who maintain clean facilities, keep machines working, and provide a comfortable customer experience often build loyal customers who return week after week. For years, the business isn't exciting because people love doing laundry. It's dependable because laundry is part of everyday life. And businesses built around everyday necessities often survive when many others struggle. Now, let's move to number 5. Funeral homes. Some businesses depend on consumer confidence. Others depend on strong economic growth. But a few industries operate under very different rules. Funeral homes are one of them. No matter what happens to the economy, people still need funeral services. Demand isn't driven by trends, advertising, or changing consumer preferences. It's driven by something far more certain. That makes funeral services one of the most recession-resistant industries in the world. Most funeral homes provide far more than a single service. They coordinate transportation, prepare the deceased, arrange ceremonies, assist families with paperwork, and often work closely with cemeteries and cremation providers. Because families are making important decisions during an emotional time, trust becomes one of the industry's greatest competitive advantages. Price matters, but reputation, professionalism, and compassion often matter even more. Many funeral homes have served the same communities for generations. Families return not because they enjoy the experience, but because they trust the people providing the service. Some businesses also offer prepaid funeral plans. Customers make arrangements years in advance, providing more predictable future revenue, while giving families greater financial certainty. Of course, the business has challenges. Operating costs are high. Facilities require constant maintenance. Staff need specialized training. And providing compassionate service every day can be emotionally demanding. Success isn't built through aggressive marketing. It's built through reputation, professionalism, and decades of community trust. That's why many independent funeral homes continue serving their communities through recessions, financial crises, and changing economic conditions. Because while the economy constantly changes, the need for compassionate funeral services does not. Now, let's move to number 4. Property management. Owning rental property can create excellent long-term wealth, but managing that property is a completely different business. Every tenant has questions. Repairs never happen at convenient times. Vacancies need to be filled quickly. Rent must be collected consistently. For many property owners, especially those with multiple homes or apartment buildings, doing all of that alone eventually becomes impossible. That's where property management companies come in. They become the bridge between the owner and the tenant. They advertise vacant units, screen potential tenants, collect rent, coordinate maintenance, respond to emergencies, and help keep properties occupied. The most successful companies don't simply collect rent. They protect the owner's investment. A leaking pipe fixed today can prevent thousands of dollars in water damage tomorrow. A carefully screened tenant can save months of unpaid rent, legal disputes, and expensive repairs. That's why experienced property managers focus on prevention instead of constantly solving avoidable problems. Their revenue usually comes from a percentage of monthly rent, which means as long as tenants continue paying rent, the management company earns recurring monthly income. Many also charge leasing fees, inspection fees, maintenance coordination fees, or project management fees for larger renovations. Of course, the business isn't passive. Difficult tenants, late-night emergency calls, unexpected repairs, changing housing regulations, and local market conditions all require experience and quick decision-making. The biggest misconception is that property management is simply collecting rent. In reality, it's about protecting relationships between landlords, tenants, contractors, and the long-term value of the property itself. Owners who trust a great property manager often stay with them for many years. That long-term trust creates stable recurring revenue while helping property owners sleep better at night. Businesses that remove stress instead of simply providing a service often become surprisingly difficult to replace. And that's exactly why property management continues to remain a resilient business through both booming economies and difficult recessions. Now, let's move to number 3. Roofing company. Take a look around your neighborhood. Hundreds of homes, hundreds of roofs. Most people never give them a second thought until one starts leaking. That's the moment everything changes. A small water stain appears on the ceiling. After the next storm, it grows larger. Ignoring the problem rarely saves money. It usually makes the repair far more expensive. That's why roofing isn't driven by impulse. It's driven by necessity. Homeowners may postpone buying a new car, delay a kitchen remodel, or cancel a family vacation. But when their roof begins to fail, waiting becomes a costly decision. That's what makes roofing one of the most resilient home service businesses. The biggest misconception is that roofing companies only replace old roofs. In reality, successful roofing businesses generate revenue from inspections, small repairs, storm damage, insurance claims, gutter replacement, preventive maintenance, and complete roof installations. The best companies understand something important. They don't just install shingles. They protect everything underneath them. A properly installed roof protects the home's structure, its electrical system, its insulation, its furniture, and everything a family has worked years to own. That's why trust matters more than finding the cheapest quote. Homeowners usually hope they'll only replace a roof once or twice during the time they own the house. They want the job done correctly the first time. Of course, this business has challenges. Work depends on weather. Material prices can change quickly. Safety standards are strict, and skilled labor is becoming harder to find. The companies that continue growing aren't always the ones with the lowest prices. They're the ones known for quality, honest inspections, clear communication, and standing behind their work years after the job is finished. Because a roof isn't something customers think about every day. But when they finally need one, they're trusting someone to protect their biggest investment. That's why the best roofing companies continue finding work through housing booms, economic downturns, and nearly every stage of the economy. Because no matter what happens, every home still needs a roof that keeps the rain outside. Now, let's move to number 2. 7:43 on a Monday morning. You're already running late. Coffee in one hand, laptop in the other. You unlock your car, sit down, and press the start button. Nothing. You try again. Still nothing. In less than 10 seconds, your entire week changes. The meeting you can't miss, the kids who need to get to school, the groceries you promised to pick up. Everything suddenly depends on someone you probably never thought about before. A mechanic. That's why auto repair is such an extraordinary business. People dream about buying new cars, but they spend far more money keeping the ones they already own alive. Here's something interesting. During uncertain times, many families don't replace their car. They keep it another year, maybe 2, sometimes even longer. And every extra mile creates another opportunity for repairs. When your car breaks down, you're not buying a brake pad. You're buying tomorrow morning. You're buying your commute. You're buying the ability to pick up your children. You're buying your normal life back. That's a completely different business. The smartest shop owners understand something psychology has proven for decades. People hate uncertainty more than they hate spending money. That's why an honest explanation is often more valuable than a discount. Every customer walks into a repair shop asking one silent question. Can I trust you? Because a customer can't see inside the engine. They have to believe the person standing in front of them. That's why trust becomes the most valuable tool in the entire garage. A dishonest shop might. An honest shop keeps customers for 20 years. One family recommends another. Neighbors recommend coworkers. Parents recommend their children. Without realizing it, the repair shop slowly becomes part of the community. Of course, this isn't an easy business. Technology changes every year. Electric vehicles require new skills. Diagnostic equipment costs thousands of dollars. One mistake can destroy a reputation that took decades to build. The shops that survive aren't always the fastest. They aren't always the cheapest. They're the ones people trust when they're standing in a driveway, late for work, turning a key, and hearing nothing. Because at that moment, people aren't looking for a mechanic. They're looking for someone who can give them their day back. And that's exactly why auto repair continues to thrive in every economy. But the final business on our list might be even more surprising. Tomorrow morning, before the sun rises, millions of Americans will do the exact same thing. They'll take out the trash. Some will carry a small kitchen bag. Others will roll a large garbage bin to the curb. Then they'll walk back inside and never think about it again. But a few hours later, one of the largest invisible businesses in America quietly gets to work. Garbage trucks begin moving through neighborhoods, apartment complexes, office buildings, restaurants, schools, and hospitals. Most people barely notice them until they stop coming. Imagine if your trash wasn't collected for 1 week. The smell, overflowing bins, insects, rodents, health concerns. Now imagine 2 weeks. The problem isn't just unpleasant anymore. It becomes a public health issue. That's why waste management isn't driven by consumer confidence. It's driven by necessity. People can delay buying a new phone. They can postpone a vacation. They can cancel a streaming subscription. But they can't stop producing trash. Every meal, every online delivery, every business, every hospital, every factory creates waste. and every piece of that waste has to go somewhere. That's what makes this business remarkably resilient. The biggest misconception is that garbage companies simply collect trash. In reality, they operate one of the most complex logistics networks in the country. Routes are planned down to the minute. Fuel costs are constantly monitored. Thousands of containers must be maintained. Drivers follow strict collection schedules. Recycling facilities sort enormous volumes of material every single day. Of course, it's not an easy business. Equipment is expensive. Fuel prices change constantly. Safety standards are strict. Landfill regulations continue evolving, and hiring reliable drivers has become increasingly difficult. But unlike many industries, demand doesn't disappear when the economy slows down because people never stop living. Businesses never stop operating. Families never stop eating. And as long as life continues, waste continues. The most successful businesses aren't always the most exciting. Sometimes they're the ones hiding in plain sight, the ones people overlook because they work so reliably that no one thinks about them. That's the lesson behind every business on this list. The strongest companies don't depend on trends. They solve problems people can't afford to ignore. And that's exactly why they survive every recession.